What is up, everybody? You know, I always start this show off by showing love to those companies who help make this podcast possible. First, tonight is going to be my friends over at Company Cam. This is an add on to any CRM that you may be using. One of the biggest things that we all have is you're trying to go through your phone, you're trying to find pictures of your kids, dinner, whatever it is, those Christmas photos, birthday photos, those special moments you're trying to find. And guess what? You can't find them because your camera roll is full of furnaces, data plates, your work. It is taking up. You got to buy more space. Well, those days are over. Company Cam keeps this organized inside of the app. It geotags it, it timestamps it. You know exactly who did it. It goes right under the customer's profile. It keeps it all organized. It also makes it so you can send these before and after pictures to your customers in a professional manner. Nowadays, it's a digital world. People want to see that. You should, if you're not giving people before and after photos, then I don't know what's wrong. You should be. Keep doing those little things that set you apart from the next guy or girl. And this is something you need to do. Company Cam is adding so many different features, it's amazing. There's a chat inside of it. You can do it with videos now. It helps you with your SEO. So if you're a business owner and you're trying to put pictures of your work and you're proud of it and you're trying to get it online, Company Cam makes that simple. I know a lot of you that listen to this are technicians. You should go tell your boss, hey, I heard this app, Company Cam. I'm sick of having to take a Sunday to delete all the work pictures off of my phone. This will save it. It will make it organized, and it's something else that you can give to your customers to set you apart from the competition in your area. If it's something you're interested in, if you go to www.companycam.com/HVAC Uncensored, just for being a part of HVAC Uncensored Nation, they will give you a free 14-day trial, no credit card, no nothing. Try it free. If you don't like it, you're done. But if you do, they will give you 50% off your first 3 months. It's amazing. We love it. It's an app that we use at Beltway. I would not offer you guys anything that I do not use myself, and we absolutely love Company Cam. All right. Next, it's going to be my brother from another mother, Mr. Ben Poole over at HVAC Tactical. My man has created a movement. He's created some of the best merch in the industry, as well as some others. You guys know that I'm always rocking HVAC tactical gear because I want to support my friend and I want to support my trade rather than rocking one of these big multi-billion-dollar brands. I'm supporting my trade, supporting my friend, and I'm supporting the movement that all of us are trying to be a part of, including the HVAC Tactical Awards, where you can see your brothers and sisters get commended for what they're doing in the industry. They're not just talking about it, they're doing it, they're showing people, they're raising the bar. Just like Ben says, HVAC Tactical is a mindset. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to change the mindset of the industry. And I will always support everything that he is doing because I love it. I love the movement and I love what the awards is doing. And I need to get myself some more merch. I don't know if the discount code still works. So if you're trying to get some HVAC tactical merch, go to the website, put in the discount code HVAC Uncensored, no spaces, and it's 20% discount just on merch. But the last I heard, Ben still had it up. It's been in there for a while. So if you're going to get some, hurry up. Go to the website, buy the merchandise, put in HVAC Uncensored, no spaces, and get 20% off of your purchase. All right. With that being said, I have an amazing show. I'm super excited, and let's get into it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States, and thank you to all those men and women who defend it.
Welcome to the #1 rated HVAC podcast. If you're looking to grow in the HVAC industry, then you're in the right spot. Blue collar people talking about blue collar shit. Let's get better together. So turn up the volume, buckle your seatbelt, and let's welcome your host, Gil Cavey Jr.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. My name is Gil Cavey Jr., and we are here for a special episode tonight. Obviously, you guys knew I was off for those couple of weeks when I was moving, and I had to reschedule some of those guests. I had an amazing lineup, and I'm super excited for this show tonight. You guys know that how much I love this industry, and I love people doing the right things, and I love seeing women crushing it in our trade. I just absolutely love everything about it because we live in a new day. It's a new world. Our trade is growing, and I absolutely love what they're doing, and I love the support they're getting. That it's the meathead mentality is going away. There's still some of those people out there, but I just love seeing where the trade is going. With that being said, I also want to make this note that I made a video and I butchered this poor woman's name, and I also want to say I won't say the person's name on air. That I got bad information because I pronounced her name the way I was told, and you made me look stupid, all right? So now I got to do a Friday show, my first Friday show in a while, and I messed up someone's name. I did mess up her name, but obviously she's okay with it. Um, so, guys, let's get into this. I want to get this show started so that you guys can go right over to HVAC Overtime after this. But please help me put your hands together for Miss Rachel Martin, AKA on Instagram, HVAC Install Her.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hello, hello. Thank you
What's
so
up?
much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, yeah, I was super excited to talk to you. Thank you for the whole reschedule. I thought that I was very planned for my move, and it kicked me in the face because I wasn't as planned as I thought I was. But I'm super happy to have you here tonight. I follow you on Instagram. I am getting on social media more. It was hard before with so many things happening, especially with Beltway. We opened a plumbing department. It's been kind of crazy, but I've seen the work that you and your husband do, and I think it's awesome that you guys work together. I love my wife dearly. I have married the same woman twice. I could not work with her. She'd say that too. We would kill each other, and I really, really. Uh, I love seeing that. I think that's cool. I wish me and my wife could do that. I love that woman. She's my ride or die, but we couldn't work together. So, I guess before we get into that dynamic, if God forbid somebody lives under a rock and they don't know who you are, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Rachel Martins, from North Carolina. My husband Igor and I, we work for a company out of Raleigh, Air Experts, and we are just installers. So we're a two-man or two-person crew, and we install every day, 5 days a week.
Nice, nice. And which one of you got into the trade first?
That was Igor. He's been in 16 years, and I started 3 years ago. I was I was still am whatever. I'm a social worker and I was working in healthcare during COVID, and then, just I couldn't take the regulations and what they were doing to people. Um and I was like, I need to do something. And Igor had been trying for years saying, come work with me, like we could make a killing doing this together, like, and I just like, "No, I don't think so. I have this degree and this is what I'm doing." And then COVID was just like it. I was like, "I'm out of here." And I started it. I'm like, "Dude, what have I been doing? I should have been doing this all along. This is like I feel like this is my calling." So I feel like I missed out on some years, but Everything happens for a reason. I got some skills from, how to communicate with people, customer service, and all kinds of things for being a social worker. I feel that have carried over. So nothing's a waste, but this is where I was supposed to be. I do feel like I was built for this.
That's awesome. I love that. And so you've only been doing this for 3 years?
Yeah.
Damn, well, I'd say you do pretty well for 3 years. I got some installers
Yeah.
that have been in the trade 3 years, and they don't do what you do, so I need to talk to them.
Yeah, well, I think it's important to note, I mean, not just for my story, but for the industry in general, that when you are invested in somebody, like you get a green helper or whatever, when you're invested in that person becoming good because they're going to, make or break your day, that person will grow faster and become better faster. Obviously, with it being Igor, he's my husband, I'm his wife, we're going to be in this together, until the end. He was invested in teaching me from the beginning, everything he knew. There was no holding back, there was no secrets. He wanted me to know just as much as he knew so that he doesn't have to hold my hand. We can work simultaneously, separately, and get the job done quickly, efficiently, and the job done right. He trusts me to be on my own, and that makes his day better. And then in the end, we all win.
Yeah, no, that's so true, and the fact that he wanted to teach you and you wanted to learn, because I always say the old story, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. So that's what I try to tell some of our techs, like, I will teach you anything, but I can't make you, wanna better yourself. So we have, like, mandatory trainings and stuff like that, but I tell them, "I will always make myself available for you." So if you want to do something extra, all you have to do is say, "Hey, Gil, I would love to be one on one with you to learn this," and I would do that because I agree with that statement completely. Um, how was his company? Like, how was the owner, the boss, or whatever when Igor was like, "Hey, I want my wife to come work with me." Were they cool or like, "Nah, you're kidding. Like, you're not being serious."
Well, he was talking about it for a while, I know that, but then when it was, like, finally official, like, I didn't even come interview or anything. They just hired me based on his word, and the sentiment was, if, literally, quote, unquote, "If you guys end up divorced, it's not on me, it's on you." So, that was kinda how it was. It was like, he vouched for me, and then I started. It was like that.
No, that's cool. So getting into trades, one thing. So once you got in, what made you say, "Hey, I'm going to post my work on Instagram"? Like, put yourself out there.
Yeah, sure. Really, like being a woman, I felt like at the time I was like, "Oh, I'm the only one doing this. Like, there's no one doing this, and people need to see this. Other women who are in, traditional female work and are unhappy should know that there's a spot for us in the skilled trades." So that was the idea in the beginning. And then once I got on there and I started following some people, I found HVAC Jess first, and then just a ton of other women who are out there killing it. And I was like, wow, it's not just me. There is so many of us out here doing this. Not enough of us, but there's a lot of us. A lot more than I thought.
Yeah, no, and I agree, and that's why I love seeing it because I love the younger generation, these girls, my daughters, seeing this to know it's okay because my oldest son works for me now, and obviously I want to teach him to do things the right way, kind of like Igor did with you. And but we were joking, and I said something about women in the trade, and we were talking about that. And he said, "How come you don't have any women?" I said, "I haven't had any apply." I'm like, "I would hire them in a heartbeat. I just haven't had the opportunity to interview one." And they made a joke, and they're like, "Oh, well, it's got to be a bunch of like manly looking women doing it." And I'm like, "No, you'd be surprised. That is a myth. That is not true." I'm like, there's some beautiful women in here that, just because they're in the trade doesn't make anything to do with manly. They're still women. You still see them in dresses. They just happen to be doing these things in the trade. And we have to stop saying that it's a manly thing, because some of these women like yourself are out there doing it better than men are. And I also think that the women, you guys support each other, like the women of HVAC. I love that whole community. Colleen, a bunch of them, amazing women, and how they support each other. You don't see a lot of like bickering back and forth, like the women saying, "Oh, that job looks like crap. I can do it better than you," blah, 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 like the men do. So I joke, but I'm like, hey, some of us men could probably learn a few things from what the women are doing in the industry right now. And that's the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like one other thing that I laugh about is that I think initially people are surprised to see me being a woman doing this, especially install. But then they find out that my partner is my husband, and then the whole fact that I'm a woman goes away. They're like, "But you work with your husband?" Like that's the more shocking part of this whole thing.
Yeah, it's so how has it been? Like, is as far as like working with your husband, obviously you guys have to have a very solid foundation relationship to do this. Do you guys have the bickering, or do you find that you really enjoy, it's brought you closer doing this, together?
I feel like we have gotten closer, just because before when we were in separate industries, like I would kind of complain about my work and he would complain about his work, and neither one of us could really relate to the other because we really had no idea what the other was doing or going through. And now that we're like in it in the same trench every day, it's like we can kind of, support each other in that way. We both know what each other has gone through that day. We both know like that was a rough day. Maybe I should take it easier on her for dinner, like not expect that 5-course meal. Like we're having ramen noodles tonight because we were just like in that crawl space that was this high all day and yeah, it's ramen for dinner and then we're okay with that, right?
Yeah.
Um, but it does, especially as I'm learning more, as I get in more years, I'm starting to learn more. So I feel like I'm starting to have more opinion about things and how I would do it, and then he has his way that he would do it. But what it comes down to is that at the end of the day, he is the lead installer and I'm the helper. So he gets the final say. So if he says no, it has to be like this because of this, I just that's it. Like I don't even question it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. You don't throw your weight around like, hey, I'm your helper, but I'm also your wife, and I'm gonna do this the way I want to do it outside. Um, but
But he also hears me out too, if sometimes I have a valid point that maybe he didn't think of and he's like, "Yeah, you're right. Like that is better," or "That would look better." Or maybe he's having an off day and I kinda am like his hype woman most days. He's in
that's
it
cool.
16 years, he's a little bit more tired than I am, right? He's like, "Ugh," and I'm like, "Yeah, think about this. Like, let's just"
So what do you?
It
Oop, I
works
think
out.
there you go. I thought you're. Oh, there you are. I thought you froze for a second. It might have been over here. So in 3 years, what do you think? Like, what have you gotten? You developed to be really strong, and what do you think that you need to keep working on? Is there a particular like heat pump furnace? Got to get better with duct work. Like, what do you think you've gotten really good at, and what do you think like, hey, I'm still trying to get better at this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like I'm pretty well-rounded. Each one of those things you mentioned, like, I don't feel like I feel like I'm sufficient in all those areas. I think my strong point would be customer service. I think what sets me apart from the next person, man or woman, is that I take a big part in explaining to the customer when we get there. And at the end of the day, I do final walkthrough and I break it down with that customer like A to Z. I show them what each component is, what it does, why we did it the way we did it, and why it's better that way. And I really love making them feel like, yeah, this was an expensive project. Like this was an investment for you. You may have even needed to finance this. But hey, look how much better it is. It makes them feel like, yeah, I put a lot out of pocket, but I feel like I'm taken care of. Whereas some people at the end of the day, all right, you're all set. See you later, Mrs. Smith. And they're like, what just happened? I just spent 15 grand and I don't even know what just happened.
And that's huge, being able to explain those things to customers because I always say it, especially with a lot of these big companies, not all of them, and I'm just speaking on personal preference, that I feel like it's a magic act where it's, I keep saying it, it's look over here while they are taking their wallet out of their pocket. And people get into a panic, they make a decision, and then they have buyer's remorse. And I don't want that. I want them to fully understand exactly what we're doing, why we're doing it. And I always tell them, we recommend, you decide. I'll give you
Exactly.
as many options as you want, but I'm only going to put in what you want. I want you to understand. I want you to see the value in it. And we make sure, even afterwards, when we call up and follow up with the people, hey, how's everything going? Like, I'll call them personally, and people are like, those little things just kind of set you apart. So I do love that you do that whole
Yeah.
communication part.
I feel like most good salesmen and, maybe even techs do a really great job at that. I think installers specifically, I feel like that sets me apart from a lot of installers because let's face it, at the end of the day, you're tired. Like you're done. You want to get out of there. It's probably close to supper time. You've been there longer than you wanted to anyway, and you're done. But to like you say, to set yourself apart from the next guy to make that customer realize why they spent a little bit more to go with this company than that company that was going to do it cheaper is because these extra things that I'm willing to do at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, amen. That's how we are. I tell people we are not the cheapest company in town, um, but we will always provide the highest level quality and service that we're going to do. Our warranties are different. Um, because I tell people within the first 5 years, if God forbid a heat exchanger has an issue or a compressor goes bad, I will replace the whole outdoor unit or I'll replace the whole furnace. Because if those problems happen, let's be honest, we did something wrong. Because you should not have those issues in the first 5 years. So the other thing
Yeah.
that I go
People
ahead.
have Sorry. People have their opinions about smaller company, bigger company. The company we work for is a bigger company. It's the biggest residential in Raleigh, which is the capital of North Carolina. So it's a large company, and people have opinions about that. But like you're saying, at the end of the day, when you go with a large company, they have the cash behind them to fix major problems that sometimes happen.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not all big companies. Sadly, where I am in the Baltimore DC metro, there's a lot of big guys and they don't have great reputations. That's just, and I know a lot of people at them, so that's why I say based on my own opinions. But I've had the opportunity to tour some big companies that aren't like that. They actually do things right. Um, but one thing I love that I saw that so you guys install Linux equipment?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're Linux too because I saw on your page on your Instagram about the Feel the Love thing, and we do the Feel the Love
Yeah.
as well. I love that program. I love helping people. We do that, the Feel the Love, plus we do it on our own just through Beltway, helping people, which I absolutely just love everything about it. And Linux just hooked me up. I got this new house. I'm gonna have to put a system in the attic, but Lennox just gave me. I put in it's a uh, EL XC23, the 23 SEER inverter with the SL 280 furnace and the whole 9 yards. And the things, it's been amazing. Because
That's awesome.
yeah, and I always love having that. So that last house that I owned, that's when I was still a Carrier guy. I had Carrier Infinity inverters in there, but I try to use those things because I believe in it, and I feel like, granted, I'm not in the field. I mean, I'm the general manager. I run the company. I'm in the office. Let's be honest, but I'm a tech at heart. That's where I came up at, and I still go out and do sales sometimes, but the reason that I sell inverters a lot is because of my passion. And I love it when customers say, Gil, you really like this stuff. You really love this stuff because I can feel your passion come through. And I'll open up my phone and show them the S40 app on my phone and be like, hey, look, this is my house. Like, this is the indoor unit, this is the outdoor unit, that I'm not trying to get them to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. And I grant it, I get it. Not everybody
I
can put an
love
inverter
the
in their house.
S40.
Yes.
You sound like me. So like I was telling you earlier, when at the end of the day, when I'm doing my final walkthrough, the thermostat is a major part of that, right? So I'm walking through the thermostat. Here's how it works. I get them hooked to Wi-Fi. I get them with the app. I get them in the app. Make sure everything goes smoothly. They got it in their phone. Everything. But I just S40 is my favorite thermostat. The system, I love it. Like if I, yeah, it would be my house too. If my systems go down, That's what I want. That's my dream system.
Yeah, I just this is the first time I've used them. I bought a bunch of the sensors. I'm not doing the smart like air monitor, but how kind of like the EcoBees have the little sensors that you can pair to the S40
Mhm.
now. Um, they only had two of them in stock. I got two, and then I'm getting two more um, to average out. So this house is bigger, and I could have oversized the one downstairs, so I put in a 4 ton, and even if I put in a 5 ton, it it still wouldn't have taken care of upstairs. So I left it 4, and probably after summer, I'm gonna, maybe put like one of the 18 SEER inverters, like a 2 ton. I probably only need a ton and a half, but I can't get inverter if I don't go 2 ton, and put that up in the attic. But I have to run duct work and everything. And just so you guys know, I will help put in the system upstairs. I had planned on putting this system in, but Dave and Allen did me a favor by coming up here because they knew all the stuff I had going on. So it's awesome. Plus, those guys are very good at what they do. They did an amazing job because they did that whole system. Um, Plus, I had a Remy Halo, a UV bulb, a fan power humidifier, a 75-gallon
Mm.
water heater they put in. So they did all that for me. And I'm they trying to give them money, and they're like, no. I'm like, hey, I'm not letting you guys do this for nothing. I appreciate you. Please, you know what I mean. I want to take care of you. So it's awesome that I have guys that work for me that are my friends, and they also do things like that. Like that was awesome. And they literally the week
Those are some
before
good
that,
friends.
yeah, they had busted their ass that week. So they could have very well been like, "Hey man, we'll try to do it next weekend. Like it's been a rough week." And they didn't. So that's why I truly appreciate it. Um Checks in the mailbox. Shut up, Ricky.
Dang. I charged my sister. I work hard, but I don't work for free.
Yeah, no, no. And I know they're saying that, but I was like, "Hey guys," and they're like, "We can just punch in." I'm like, "Nope, I'll give you cash. That way it's not taxed. I'll take care of you." So, yeah, I would, and I know they would have done it for free, but I would. There's no way that I could sleep at night knowing those guys drove an hour out of their way. So I live an hour away. So they drove an hour, not to mention on a Saturday, to put in my system and then drive an hour back. So yeah, I'll definitely take care of them. Um, I am curious to what was the Field of Love. So did you actually the Field of Love that you guys did, were you involved in the installation of that?
Yeah, me and Igor installed it.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
Okay, I didn't see that. So what was this? I mean, can you say like the situation with the customer?
Yeah, it was, I put it up on my, Instagram, but you must have missed that one. It was
Yeah.
a multi-generational family. I think it was like a grandmother, mother, and then a son, and the son was the only one working. So he was running this household of like 3 generations, and they need a new system, and he's just like, "I don't got it. I'm doing everything else, and I can't do it." So we were able to do it for them. So it was probably the coolest experience I had as far as install goes, because it's like, you know, from the heart, you know?
Yeah, and the people that are truly in need, like helping somebody, like we don't think of heating and air conditioning in someone's home as being life changing, but those kind of situations truly are life changing for those people because if it wasn't that kind of situation, they would have never been able to have it. It's something that we take for granted because it's something that we do. And if ours breaks, then we can fix it or we can replace it or whatever it is. And not everybody has that, luxury to be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely right. Like I grew up, my dad owned an HVAC company. I grew up in Massachusetts. My dad owned a company, and so my dad always knew how to do everything around the house. I don't remember ever hiring anyone to do anything growing up, and now, I have a skilled husband, and we don't hire anyone to do anything either. I think we hired roofers. And I mean, last year we replaced siding on one of our houses and we did that ourselves. So yeah, you kind of forget that people who aren't skilled have to shell out money for all of these things, you know?
Yeah, I try to teach my two boys, and I'm like, whether obviously my oldest son is working for me now, but I tried to teach them how to be handy with tools regardless because, whether it's changing parts in the toilet, a faucet, an outlet, a switch, because you see these bills that get handed to customers. And it's like, even if you decide to do an office job or whatever it is, this is going to help you when you get older that you can do these things around your own home and you're not having to pay somebody, $400 to come change a light switch that you can do for 20 bucks, and maybe 20 minutes of your time. So I do think that's huge. And we had we had two. The one field of love was a little boy with a rare cancer, and he was talking about this little boy will almost get me emotional because um, he ended up taking a turn that wasn't good. He's still around, he's still okay, but knowing all the things that was wrong with him and he was just the happiest little boy. I mean, a smile on his face, sitting there laughing and giggling. You would never have known that anything was wrong with him. And seeing something like that just kind of put your whole life in perspective. Like anything that I have going wrong is really not that important when I see this little boy's face. And knowing that we were able to put in a new system for them and it worked. And we've done other things. We had like a Santa Claus event where one of our guys wore like a Santa suit. I did it years ago, but I'm not doing that again. I think I traumatized those kids. But it's such a good time. And then we had another one that wasn't this was before we were back being a Lennox dealer. We had a lady that what was trying to remember. So we went out for a boiler call and we gave her a list of repairs and she wasn't doing it. And she said, I just have to get the money together. And one of the techs said, no worries. Her neighbor called in and was like, hey, I want to know if I can pay this and told us the story. And she was like, she has two children that have autism and they have sensory deprivation. So they have to wear like certain socks and certain shirts because they can't feel the seams on their skin or something like that. But long story short, that she took the kids to school. Her husband had went to sleep the night before and didn't wake up, and
Oh my
just
gosh.
kind of destroyed their whole world. And when the neighbor called, I said, you know what? I appreciate you calling me, but I'm gonna do one better. We're gonna replace her boiler, and I'm not gonna charge her anything. And we got like the supply house to donate the boiler. We did a new water heater. And by the end, so many companies got involved that she got a boiler, a water heater, a roof, kitchen cabinets. I mean, like a bunch of local companies got involved, and it was just
Mm.
absolutely amazing.
Wow, life changing.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is. I love seeing that kind of stuff, and we tell our techs when they go out, and then we're like, obviously, if it's somebody who's just like mismanaging money, that's a different story. Like, I'm not gonna do something for free because they're horrible with budgeting, but I'm like, if you go into a home and you can feel, it's a single mother with, three kids, and she's like, I just can't afford to fix it. Like, call me. This business, yes, we're in business to make money, but we're also in business to help people. And if I have to do something like that, there's plenty of times where me or, the owner, Ryan, they've called us and they're like, hey, this person's in a bad spot. And we've just went ahead and done it. My kids came in. Don't worry. It's fine.
I gave my husband explicit instructions.
That's funny. Yeah, so those kind of situations are cool. So let me ask you this, and this is kind of a off the wall question: is if you were standing in front of like a high school auditorium and there was a bunch of young women in there, and you were trying to talk them in to college versus the trades, what would you tell them about the trades as a woman in the trades?
I would just say what I would say to anybody is that there's two routes, right? And I kind of took both of them. You can go to college and, if you're blessed with money, that's great. Go ahead and go to college. But if you're not and you're going to end up in all kinds of student debt when you're not certain what you want to do, if you're certain you want to be a doctor and that's always been a passion of yours, you know that's what you wanna do it. You already know you're gonna be in student debt, you already know you're gonna make money in the long run, go ahead and do it. If you're not sure what you wanna do, I don't know, I guess I'll go into liberal arts." Don't. Go learn a trade. Go do something else until you know, at least have an idea of what you wanna do. But what happens is in high schools, the high school guidance counselors are pushing people to go to college even if they don't know, just to get those numbers. "Oh, we had X amount of students go to a four-year school." And then you're gone and you're in debt and they don't care. They got their number, right? So if
Yeah.
you don't know what you wanna do, if you're going to pursue liberal arts, "Oh, I'll just do some prereqs my first year." Why bother? There could be something out there for you that you just don't know you like yet. So why not go get a summer job doing something like this? Either you can handle it or you can't. Like you can't lose. That's kind of like how my mindset was at the time where I jumped ship. It's like they're always hiring in healthcare. Healthcare's on fire. They would hire me back tomorrow if I quit today. So what is there to lose? I can go try this and I can either handle it or I can't. And if I can't, I can come back to this. And if I can, great. And it ended up working out beautifully for me. And now I'm kind of regretting not doing it sooner. But in high school, there was no one telling me that I could. No one was telling me that I couldn't, but no one was telling me that I could. And I didn't see it anywhere. So I couldn't even make that decision for myself. That's really where the whole social media thing came, is because young people are on social media. They're on there for everything. They're sharing everything that they do in a day. They're on there, and if I have the power to influence somebody, I don't want it to be because look at my new shoes in my purse. I want it to be something that could change their life. I want it something to be positive, something good for society. There's a lot of bad things for society on social media.
Yeah.
I want this to be good. I want it to be pure. I don't want it to be sexualized. I want I want to show what I do and I want to do it kind of uncensored, right? I'm not going to do it filtered. I'm not going to not post something because it's unflattering. I'm going to give it to you raw. This is what I look like. This is what I do. And I've done well doing it. So I want to share that. And that's kind of the whole mindset behind it.
That's awesome. You know, I love that. Obviously, as HVAC Uncensored. So yeah, no, I love that, and I agree 100% because when I was coming up, I knew about the trades because my father was in the trade. But the guidance counselors didn't talk about the trades to men, yet alone women, and they weren't saying it to anybody. So I feel like nowadays it should be an option for the boys and the girls. And I'm the same way. If you want to go for a hard skill and you know exactly what you want to do, by all means do that. But if you don't know, don't feel like that's the only option because society's pushing you that way. Um, and they go and they waste a bunch of their money or their parents' money, and they come out and they still don't know what they're going to do, or they get some bullshit degree that they can't do anything. And I saw it happen to friends where they went to a 4-year school, came back working the same job before they left. And I'm like, did they at least give you a raise since you got a degree? Like, so that's what gets me, and that's why I want to see society go back to like the Votex and having all this stuff in there because we need people, and there's so you can make a good living. Like, but I always say this: besides maybe like real estate and some other things, um, the trades have made more quiet millionaires than you realize. Um, you know,
Yeah.
or people just living good.
Yeah, we do good. We work hard and we earn every dollar we make, but we do really well. And just to put it like this, I was making payments on my student loans for over 10 years at my other job, just making payments, getting nowhere. Last year, less than 3 years in, I paid them off. I got to the point I'm just going to pay this in full, and I was able to do it. And so I got out of debt in less than 3 years in the trades.
No, that's awesome because some people go they're 20 years with that hanging over their head because those school loans, you can file bankruptcy. And guess what? Those school loans are still there. Like,
Sally Mae is the biggest bitch. I was like, "I'm not giving you another dime of interest, Sally. I'm done with you."
yeah. I bet. They'll hunt you down. Like that's not money. Like you're gonna pay that money back. And that's why when this not to get into some political debate, but that whole like college forgiveness thing was just never gonna happen. Like we know that's a farce. It's not gonna happen because these big banks aren't gonna let that money go. They're gonna want that. They're gonna, but yeah, that's why I've went and I've talked to some schools locally and some different little shows and spoken to some crowds, and I was surprised on how good. I'm not. I have a big mouth. Obviously, I do this podcast and I've never been afraid talking in front of people, but I was nervous, to go up in front of a group of high school kids and be like, man, this is going to be rough, where they're going to be like, shut up, old man. You know what I mean? Like, get off the stage. But it was very good. I enjoyed it to the point that I want to keep doing it and not just in my state. If I have to travel to be able to spread the word when it comes to the trade. And that's why I tell people like I have 4 children, and if all 4 of my kids grew up to be in the trades, their choice though. So I told my oldest son, little upset that he didn't make it in baseball only because he could have, and he just, kind of gave up, in my opinion. But whatever, it's his life. Not going to force him to do something. But I said, if you're gonna, I want you to come work for me because you want to, and I don't want you to do it just because I do it. Like I said on one of the previous shows earlier in the week, if one of my daughters grew up and said, Daddy, I want to be an electrician, I love it. I saw, these girls on Instagram and I love what they're doing. I want to do that. I would support her every step of the way. Like that would make me happy. So I feel like when you talk to some people out there, parents who, especially parents who aren't in the trades, and they're like, "Oh, I support the trades," and I'm like, "Oh, well, would you let your son or your daughter do it?" Well, I really would prefer they go to college. Okay, well, then you don't support the trades then. Like, don't then,
Or you just don't know how lucrative it can be.
yeah.
There's a stigma there, you know? They don't realize that people who are doing what we're doing are making more money than those people with 4, 5, 6-year degrees.
Yeah, and that's why I want people in the trades to hold yourself to a higher standard. When you treat this like a job, it's going to be a job. When you treat this like a career, it's going to be a career. Like anything in life, you're only going to get out of it what you put into it. And that plumber,
I'd like to add to that. I'd like to add to that too, because you're a business owner, but a lot of people that probably listen to this aren't business owners. They're just people like me who are just working for someone else, and a lot of them have this mindset where I'm just making someone else rich. Well, I like to challenge that mindset because I don't feel like that. I feel like I make my fair wage. I feel like I give to this company and the company gives back to me. If I take care of the company's going to take care of me. The more valuable you are as an asset, the more that company is going to put back into you. So I don't feel like I'm making someone else rich. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm doing it to a level that I hold myself to, and I'm getting paid fair for it.
yeah, and just so you know, so I don't own Beltway, so I own other things, but not Beltway. I'm the general manager. I don't own this. And I'm fine with that. But I do get that mentality. I came up as a technician, and just like I used to think when I think about pricing, and you're like, oh, we charge like the biggest one is um capacitors, and I know you don't have to do that in install, but people are like, oh, you're ripping people off. And then that part costs $10. But then when you see what goes into running a business and why you have to charge what you charge, especially if you want to do things for your employees, you want to pay them what they're worth. You want them to drive nice vans, be able to go to training, have benefits, health insurance, 401k, all that kind of stuff. It costs money. And your owner is not sitting back, counting his money like you think. And we always do a demonstration with our technicians where we have a company meeting and put a big dollar, like huge on this big. We have it's probably 20 feet long whiteboard. And we'll put it up there, and then we break up each dollar that comes in, where it all goes. And then when you see how much is actually left, they're like, man, we should charge more. It's like, okay, exactly. So now you see, you know, we're we're not sitting back, in here while you guys are working and we're in here just, throwing $100 bills around like, hey, it's such a good day. Like we're doing good, but we give it back to the employees as well. That's what made me come to Beltway in the first place is because me and the owner, Ryan, had the same mindset of what we wanted to create it. An all-star team of amazing people doing amazing things for our community, but they're all paid well. We have more people here making 35, 40 plus dollars an hour than any company I've ever been a part of in my 24 years in this industry. And I love it.
But when people feel well paid, when they feel taken care of, they will bring value back to the company. You can't treat your people poorly and expect them to walk into the customer's house with a smile. No, they're not smiling. They can't feed their family. No, they're not smiling. They can barely pay for your health insurance and have anything left over. Um, it's it's sad.
It is. And one thing I do feel like with social media that, you used to always hear about all these like, horrible companies and running their people into the ground. Hey, I need you to do 2 installs in a day. And then, hey, the service people, I need you to run from 7 in the morning till midnight. We got to do what we got to do when there's work to do. No, you don't have to do that. I want quality over quantity. Yes, it's a business. We have to produce revenue. That's just, nobody's working for free. Even though we all like each other and we can kumbaya during meetings, but we all do this for the end of the week, the paycheck. And I tell my service techs, I'm like, hey, I give them a revenue goal. And I'm like, hey, if you meet that in 2 calls that day, you can go home. You know what I mean? But if it takes you 5 calls, then you got to run 5 calls. It all depends on you. But I'm never going to make them just, you know, over, just overwork because I feel like that's what we need to do. And I don't also want to just throw numbers. Obviously, we have to talk about that, when it comes to, technicians and stuff like that. But I'm not one of those people that's like, your average ticket's too low. I'm going to rate you up if you don't go up $20. And when you make it about that, it just creates a horrible atmosphere.
Yeah, and in my experience, I've only worked for one company, so all I know is how this company has been run. And I also only know install, right? So I don't know what it's like to be a service technician who has to, sell those things for their extra commission. I imagine if I had to, I would get good at it because that's who I am. But we make commission, so we make a percentage of the job. So I don't really know what it's like to be in that position.
Yeah, no, that's cool. But with our installers, so we pay them like a flat rate thing where, you know, whatever the job was bid for. So standard installs are bid for 8 hours. That's what's in our flat rate pricing. But if we have installers who are efficient and say they get done that install and it meets all of our safety checks, our standards, no warranty issues, and they get done in 5 hours, they still get paid for 8. I'm not going to penalize them because they're good at what they do. And they don't have to do that. Um, if the job was been for 10 and they get done in 8, I will still pay them for 10 because that's what we allotted for it. We're just not going to keep that. And we have not many of them, but we have 2 teams. Well, one, the guys who did my system, my install manager, and the guy that's with him, in the summertime, they'll go do 2 heat pump installs in a day. They'll look amazing. They'll get done in, 9 hours and get paid for 16. So, we try to have those little advantages. Um, because I remember when I did install for a little bit, and I was never an everyday installer. I was kind of always service, but uh, guys would let the job linger because they wanted to make sure they got their 8. And it's like, hey, I don't want ours to feel that way. I want you to be really good at your job.
Ain't
And if
nobody
you're,
got time for that.
yeah, and if you're efficient, then, then be done, go home and enjoy your family. And even with the service people, I try to really do like coming up in the trade, especially service and having to work all those hours. Like I was working and paying for all these baseball teams and stuff, but I couldn't go to the games because I had to work. And I tell our people, like, hey, we can always make money, but we can't get time back. And I want you to have those moments. So if they come to me and say, "Hey, my daughter has a dance recital, my son's got a ball game on Friday," I am going to make sure that they're there. And by doing those little things, these people, they'll give me the shirt off their back just like I'll give them the shirt off of mine. And it just makes it so fun working in that kind of atmosphere. And I want that for everybody in the industry. And I know a lot of them do. There's a lot of places out there with amazing culture, but there's also a lot of people that don't have that.
Yeah, yeah. Air Experts takes care of us in that way too. If we say, "Hey, our son has a game tonight or whatever," they're pretty good about accommodating that in assigning the job that would get us there on time. So I'm super grateful for that. But yeah, in the summertime, there's times where if it's one house, two systems, it could be just me and Igor, and we'll knock out two heat pumps in the same house in one day.
That's awesome. How as far as you guys like staying busy year round? Is there times where you guys get where it's like, "Hey, we got nothing for you today?"
Well, the company has 13 to 15 install crews,
Ooh,
just install. So they're having to have 13 to 15 installs a day. And so when you have that, how do I put this? There's there's a tier of installers, right? There's good, better, best. And so, like I was saying earlier, when you take care of the company takes care of you. Igor and I rarely sit in the winter. We work year round.
awesome. That's awesome. Um, And it's cool that that they take care of you, and it's the only company that you've ever worked for, and hopefully, it's the only company you ever have to work for. That sadly, that doesn't happen to everybody, but that's cool if that could be the first and last company that you work for. How long has, Igor worked there before you went there? Has he been there for a long time?
Yeah, Igor's been there 8 years. We've been in North Carolina for 8 years. So as long as we've been in North Carolina, he's been with Air Experts. Before that, he was working up north with my dad, and my whole family moved down. So my parents moved down, my sister's brother, everyone moved down. So Igor came down first. It's actually kind of a cute story. He was looking for a job to come down here. I was fully pregnant with my second baby, and I wanted to have the baby up there with my doctors before I moved down. So Igor came down first. um, he got an email while he was still up in Massachusetts from this guy that we work for now. Found him on Indeed, or no, it was oh, what was it? I don't know, one of those websites, and message him asking him to come for an interview on a Friday. And Igor's like, "I'm out of state. I can't come in for an interview, but I'll come to work Monday and start." And he's like, "All right, we'll see how it goes." And he's worked there ever since.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
that's cool, and that's hard, you know? It's hard enough going to a new company, but then going to a new company in a state that you're not even familiar with yet, that's a big step, and to still be there 8 years, that's pretty awesome. Has he always been install? Like, that's his preference?
Yeah, he that's all he does.
That's cool, that's cool. Because I feel like too
In
many people
up
did the
north
whole.
up north, he was doing new construction, but now we just do, like, resi change outs.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, because too many people think like you got to go into install and then you have to go into service. Like, no, there's so many avenues in this industry that you do whatever makes you happy. Like, there's no wrong choice. And you can make a lot of money doing either of them. Um, I just went into service because I started doing commercial service with my dad, and then I just kind of found backed my way into residential service. But I think people who start at install and either stay or if they eventually want to go to service, I think that's the best path because you know what everything is, you know how to install it, you know how it's supposed to work properly. It makes it easier when you're trying to go fix something. So I think that's
That's
pretty
what I've
awesome.
heard. I've heard a lot of people say that the best techs started install, but I've also heard the opposite. But for me right now, as long as my body will physically keep up with this, I'd like to keep doing this. Just because, like we were talking about earlier, if we finish an install in 5 hours, 6 hours, we're done for the day. Whereas when you're on the tech side, you're kind of at the mercy of the dispatcher. You could be thinking you're almost done at 3, and then you get another call, you don't get home till 6. And I just like the I like the ability to work a little harder to get out a little earlier and kind of be at my own pace.
Yeah, no, and I've heard that. That's what a bunch of my installers say. They're like, I rather go work really hard and be able to be home and go to the gym and not know that I'm getting. And granted, every once in a while you have one of those installs where everything that can go wrong goes wrong, and you have to work a little late. But for the most part, that's rare. You know what I mean? Like those things don't happen on a daily or weekly basis, and if they do, then there's something wrong. But normally that's not what happens. Um, but yeah, we're almost at an hour, and I know HVAC overtime starts at 9, so I don't want to run into their show too much. But um, I do want to thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you listening and supporting the podcast. That's a I love that, and I love your story. But matter of fact, I want to step back because there's one thing that I do want to touch on if before we close this out is everybody in here that knows me knows that my faith means the world to me, and I love what you said that you love being open about it and how you like to share it, especially with the world that we live in. And it's something that you shouldn't have to hide. And I agree with you 100%. And I love that statement about how you share your faith. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think it was before we started
Yeah.
recording, but yeah, I was mentioning to you that um, when I first started being public about my life and everything else, I made a decision that I was going to be genuine. I was going to be 100% myself. No part of me was going to be fake, and I was going to put it all out there. In my faith in Jesus, like is part of who I am. And if there's anything that I can share that is going to have an impact, a positive impact on the world, it's not HVAC, it's Jesus, and that everybody has the ability to be saved despite whatever you've done, despite whatever you could possibly do. It's for everybody. Um, yeah, I don't hide that part of myself because I think it's the most important thing that we can share with people.
Yeah. Amen. It's an opportunity. And, that's why when I say things, I talk about my personal experiences and how it's helped me. So it doesn't come off preachy. I'm just giving real life experience and how it's changed my life. It's changed me as a man, as a husband, as a father, as a friend. It has changed every aspect of my life. My belief in Jesus Christ, my Christianity, and the community at my church. It has been amazing, and I told you there's a group that I'm a part of with some people that most of these people know, but I won't. That's their business to say, not mine. But we were talking and we were kind of nervous about just being open or starting a group and spreading that message. And I said, hey, I don't want to feel like I have to hide in a back room and not be able to talk about it. If God forbid somebody follows me and they stop following me because I talk about my beliefs and about Christianity, then they probably shouldn't have been following me in the first place. That's fine with me. I don't care. That it's
Right,
fine.
because the more important person wouldn't be the one that unfollows you. It's the one that saw your message and came to Jesus through you. That they see that people who are so messed up like us, so fallen, so imperfect, still have salvation through Jesus Christ, and they find that from themselves. It's a win. Let all those other people unfollow you. And I've said before, I'm a little bit cussy. I grew up in the North. Women in the North are a different breed for anybody that doesn't know. My mom taught me how to cuss best. And I've said before that I'm not going to censor myself because the person that I need to reach might speak like me. And when they hear me speak like that and also have faith in Jesus Christ, they can come to Jesus through me as who they are, as imperfect as they are right now. And so that's why I just keep it real, keep it genuine because you never know who comes to Jesus through you.
Amen. And that's why I said in the little intro video that I was so like excited to talk to you because I feel like there's so many things that we had in common, and I feel that same way. And I do have foul language like I told you, and I cuss, and I have found myself trying to cut back and catching myself. But in the same token, I am going to be genuine. I am always going to be myself. I have said from day one when I started this podcast almost 10 years ago that um, if I have to change who I am to do a podcast, I'm not going to do it. I love one of the biggest compliments people give me is they're like, man, Gil, when I meet you in person, you're that same asshole that you are in person as you are in real life. They don't say asshole, but they say you're the same person. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm not gonna change who I am. Whether this thing's in front of me, the camera's in front of me, or we're in the middle of the street talking, I am always going to be the same person. So I believe exactly what you said 100%. So that is absolutely awesome. Uh,
Thank you. And I hope people feel the same way about me, that they find that who I present to be on social media is who I am. When I say things on social media, like if you are in a bad spot mentally, like mental health wise, if you feel like there is no one else, I am your girl. DM me. I will get back to you. I'm on that thing all the time. I'm always on Instagram. People say people influencers love to say, "Oh, I don't even like social media." You're lying. We love it. We do
yeah.
it because we love it.
Yeah, I try to get
But
on there
I but
more.
I yeah, but I am genuine when I say things like that. Like if you could just start following me yesterday. If you are in a bad spot mentally and you feel like you have no one else to reach out to, no one else that understands you, just DM me. I'm here for you.
That's awesome. I'm the same way, and that's why I do the mental health or the addiction episodes. Even though my addiction is something that I'm not proud of, it happened. And I will always share that story and be completely honest because if when I do those podcasts about mental health or about addiction and it helps one person, it was worth it. Uh, and some of the situations that
That's
I've
it.
had happen, especially at AHR, not the Chicago before that, um, and these everybody in here has heard this story a million times, but a woman came up and said, "Hey, can I give you a hug?" And I'm like, "Okay." And then, she started having tears in her eyes and she said, "You did a addiction episode that my husband listened to, and after hearing your story, he went to rehab and he's been clean for 74 days or something like that, and he walked up bawling, crying, and got me emotional. And I'm like, the fact that my story was able to change somebody else's life and to see the husband and the wife, I was like, that is awesome. I'm like, I'm going to do more addiction episodes. I'm going to do more mental health episodes, try to make them bigger if I need to, because
Mhm.
it's touching people, it's listening. Like I said, if it's one person an episode, that's one person who just changed their life. And that's why I have the tattoo, the 2%. And people are like, oh, you like 2% milk? I'm like, no, smartass. The 2% is because 2% of addicts make it. Most people suffer through that addiction their whole life and they never make it out. Um, I have friends tattooed on me that are no longer here. And the fact that I am here means that I'm still here for a reason. And I'm going to make sure that I value every single day that I open my eyes on this earth. And I will never take anything for granted, no matter how small or how big it is.
Yeah. I
Uh,
love
but
that. Yeah, and it's all about being sincere and being open and being true to your story, because our the truth is what sets us free, but our truth opens the door for people to come through to us so we can share the word, right? Because when we're being our false self, our fake self, or we're not, or we're putting a filter up, or we're putting a screen or whatever, a mask, people don't come to you through that. They see you as something up over here that I can't quite reach. I'll never be as good as them. When you humble yourself and bring you down and you're open about your mistakes, your downfalls, who you are truly, people gravitate towards you because they're like, "Oh, you're just as messed up as me. Let me talk through this with you." And so that's it. That's all you got to do in life is just be yourself, be genuine, don't fake anything, and you never know who you're affecting. I love that story.
Yeah. Amen to that. So I will start closing this out now. So Rachel, it was so awesome to finally be able to talk to you and hear your story. Like I said before, thank you for listening to the podcast. Um, and thank you for, being okay with the reschedule with what I had going on and being able to come on a Friday. Like I get it, Friday nights We only have so many nights to be able to do things. So for you to spend your Friday night here, I really appreciate it. I love what you're doing. Um, keep making the impact that you are for the trades in general, also for women in the trades and young women coming up in the trades. So I think it's awesome what you're doing. Keep doing it. And you're always welcome on here. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. All good.
Yep. All right. Let me go ahead and close this thing out. Real fast, if you guys are on Instagram and you do not follow Rachel, go. It is HVAC underscore install underscore her. Go follow it. They put her and her husband put amazing content on there. Showing their installs every day. They do beautiful work, doing things the right way. So if you have not followed her already, please go do that. But I want to end this so everybody can get over to HVAC Overtime. They're my buddies, and I don't want to run into them. I know I'm already 15 minutes over. So hope everybody is having a great night. I appreciate all of you for coming here. Thank you to all my friends. I'm sorry I didn't call everybody out, but thank you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. Um, but remember, be safe out there. I always want you to make it home the same way that you left. Driving, electricity, metal, whatever it is, just be safe, and do the little things. Set yourself apart from the next guy or girl. If you're going to do something, do it to the best of your ability or don't fucking do it. And you made me cuss because that's how I feel. Don't half-ass something. People realize you need to realize this. You spend more time and energy trying to think of a way to do something wrong than it would have taken you to just do it the right way. All right? Put your name on something. Give back to the trade. Help somebody else. If you've gotten good at this and you know something, teach somebody else. Make them better. Care about the people that you're with. I always say this. If you see a person, a change in their demeanor, a person who's always on time and now all of a sudden they're late, for 2 weeks, ask them, hey, man, is everything okay? Uh, Sometimes that simple question could be a life changer and a person can open up to you because something's going on there. Like, just be human. All right. Just be a good human. That's all I want to say. Be a good person, be a good human, care about other people, spread positivity. And it's amazing that that's what comes back to you tenfold. All right. With that being said, make sure you follow the podcast on all the social media sites so you always stay up to date on everything that I have going on. And with that being said, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for doing 2 shows. Thank you for showing up. Um, yeah, that's about it. I think maybe tomorrow night for all the people that are live, I might do a hangout. I got to check my schedule. I'll put something out on social media to let you guys know. Yeah, but go over to the Overtime Show. All right. Have an amazing weekend. I appreciate you guys. Stay safe, and I'll talk at you mofos later.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.